Hello, friends. How are we doing today? So, looks like Empires and Puzzles has decided to give us a new August 2025 balance update. So, let's see what they have done for August. We'll take a quick look, and then I'm going to add some of my thoughts on this. It might be a little bit different than you're expecting, but let's go ahead and break into it. So, down here, they started with mechanic updates, in which they are talking about deep sleep. Now, deep sleep has been a very interesting ability. It's similar to sleep, except for the fact that in this case, they won't wake up unless they had taken 500 damage. They're changing this now to increase that 500 damage threshold to 750 damage. This is only really affecting the moths, to my knowledge. So I don't think there's any other classes or families that have the deep sleep. But I do think this is a very positive change. Sleep in this game has always been a tough mechanic to manage correctly. And in Deep Sleep, they took away the ability for minions and fiends to do damage without waking them up for the trade off of having a damage cap before they wake up. So I get that, but I do like that they increased it to 750, mostly because it's not hard to get to 500 damage nowadays, especially if there's a dot on a character. You could be doing that mistakenly in one turn and immediately waking them up. I think by increasing the cap to 750, you're going to sneak an extra turn of sleep in there for a lot of targets, and it's going to make it a more impactful effect on the game. So the deep sleep changes there, I give it a thumbs up. If you have these characters, you might find that they work for you a little bit more as intended, and that is an awesome thing. All right, moving on, they went to the Magic Carpet family. Here they have increases in certain things for each of these characters. They did, well, four of them if you count the rare. But Zazha is going to have increased range of ailment transformation, the caster, and all allies. So perhaps she just did herself before. I don't necessarily remember, or maybe it was herself and nearby, but she now does it for all allies. She will flip debuffs into matching buffs, I believe. Um, Yes, so that's pretty cool. I do like that. I like that they're expanding it and giving her a little bit of additional utility. Elisa, the healer, she is going to increase the range of all ailment transformation, the caster nearby to all allies. Oh, okay, so the first one was just herself to all allies. Now this one is caster nearby to all allies. So basically, they're just making a group-wide effect. I'm down with that too. Increase the range of mana effect resist, the caster and nearby to all allies. Ooh, okay, so that's a very cool change for the healer here. The fact that she is protecting the mana of the entire team I think it's going to make her a lot more sought after, especially in the current meta with all the mana reduction that we're seeing. That is a very cool change for her. Then down here we have Lando's change of direct damage increased from 400 to 450%. Lando's been a pretty good character. The damage increase will make him a little bit more significant though, so grats to anyone with the Magic Carpet family heroes that got updated. The rare, she also does the ailment transformation to all allies. That's fine. I mean, 3 and 4 stars are fun, but, I think most of us are focused on the 5 stars for the most part. All right, moving on. Astral Dwarf family, we have Pluth. Pluth is getting an upgrade where direct damage is increased. Special skill now gives mana generation ailment. Oh, that's interesting. New. All enemies receive negative 20% mana generation for 2 turns. Don't underestimate that. That is a very cool ability. Reducing the opponent's mana does matter a lot in our current meta. So just remember, if you have this character, you're getting this bonus. Great. Congrats. Moving on. Orcore, delayed health boost increased from 300 to 450. That's a fairly minor change. I don't think that's really going to affect gameplay much. Goose, special skill now deals direct damage. Deals 350% to all enemies. Okay, this character needed something. He was probably the least impressive slime that was released. He really was just a strange card when he first came out. Adding some damage to him, I think, makes a heck of a lot of sense, and will probably make him much more playable. So Goose, great change there. All right. Moving on, we have Nibbles. I actually pulled Nibbles. It's nice to see some changes here. The direct heal is increased by 5%. The heal over time is increased by almost 50% each turn, which is pretty cool. I enjoy that. That's a nice change. Should make Nibbles a little more playable. The 15% heal was just way too low for a character that seems to be designed to be a healer. So it definitely needs some love. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we possibly see another increase in the future for healing done, but for now, I'll take it. Nilfgaard, we have direct damage increased 310 to 335, counterattack damage increased, burn damage from his burning touch thing. That's kind of cool. Limbore had some direct damage increase too. She definitely needs a little love, although 260 to 300 seems like a fairly small change in damage output, especially for a character operating at very slow. She clearly could have done more damage than that, but it's still an increase. Salvatore increase ghost damage from 300% to 350%. Could be interesting. I don't know if that's enough to really make a big difference there. Firmafang, special skill now safely cleanses. Um, from self only, mind you, which is very interesting. I would have liked to see them expand that to herself and nearby, but that's what they decided to do, and that's fine. Maybe we'll see some changes to Fimafang in the future. but that's what we got for now. And then Sneeferu, I probably murdered that name. But anyways, this is a Dunes character actually. Direct damage is increased from 385 to 530. Wow, now that's a big damage boost. So they definitely wanted to make this character more interesting, more viable in the damage department. Why it's the only Dunes character that got a buff, I'm not sure. Also, why we're worried about buffing a character who got 2 buffs already this year, I'm also not sure. So there might be a reason why they singled this character out. Keep your eyes peeled to see what might be going on with this individual character that's causing them to get some extra love. Then the heroes of the month, they all got their minor increase to damage. Ares got an increase to critical, but mostly because he doesn't do damage, right? So they had to do something there. Let's see, Gregorian increase to damage, slightly more critical chance increase. That's fun. And then Drake Fong, direct damage increase. Drake Fong again, same thing. All of these are basically just a little bit of direct damage increase for the most part. I'm trying to see if anything really fun was added to these guys, but I think it's just the standard increase their effects slightly for the hero of the months that they do. This is kind of fun. I like the healing decrease element buffed from -60 and -70. That actually makes a pretty big difference. I also like they increase the damage over time for Sinisa. So that actually, I think that package is a nice upgrade right there. But the rest of these guys are pretty basic on the changes. Okay, so that pretty much covers our updates there. One thing I do want to go into is the changes here. I've kind of heard some opinions and some thoughts from different people around, and I figured I would share mine as well. This balance update may seem more boring, I guess you can say, than some of the balance updates that we've seen recently. And I want to point out that that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I say this because what they've been doing recently has been kind of crazy. They've been really buffing characters. But when I say really buffing characters, it seems like they've been focusing on most of the characters that were released in the last 6 months. So it was like sort of a reward for people who are continuously pulling these new characters. Like, look, they're going to keep getting stronger than the benchmark characters of the past. It's going to give you a unfair advantage moving forward over some of these other players. I didn't really love that idea because I felt like it only rewarded people who pulled a lot right now, or at least recently. Here, you'll notice that some of the changes that they've done, they're not messing around with CP. So we're not creating an unnecessary CP increase to these characters, right? What they've done is they've only worked on tweaking the individual effects of these cards. So there's no power creep gained from these adjustments. They're just trying to tweak their specials to the point that they become more relevant characters. I do think this is the right approach. Power creep is already a problem that we have to deal with, and something that's been a little out of control in the game within the last couple years, in my personal opinion. So I like to see that they're trying to approach things in a way other than just saying increase their CP, just buff up their stats, we'll call it a day and move on with our lives, right? Because basically you're just adding fuel to the fire of the CP problem at that point. So these types of tweaks, these types of changes, you might be thinking to yourself, this is a little bit more boring than I was hoping for, but this is the type of boring that we need. I just want everyone to understand that. We need to calm down with the CP gains and start tweaking individual specials to bring them more in line, because the truth is they don't need more CP to be competitive. They just needed a better worked special to begin with. All right, so that's my thoughts on these balance changes. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you again soon.